Every successful journey begins with a vision to build, to grow, and to create an impact. Behind every company are years of hard work, challenges, and dedication that people rarely see. Today, we step inside one such journey.
Hello everyone, today we are joined by Mr. Mohit Gupta, the CEO and founder of OUTCARE, a Hyderabad-based healthcare and medical devices company. He has built a company in very responsible and challenging industry, that is healthcare. So today we'll be talking about his journey, OUTCARE's story, entrepreneurship, challenges, and what all he had learned along his way. Thank you, Mr. Mohit, for joining us for today's podcast.
Thank you, Chavi, and I was really looking forward to have this podcast with you so long. Finally, we spent today.
Okay, so before starting OUTCARE, what was your journey like?
It's a long journey, to be honest. And before starting the OUTCARE, I was part of multiple companies in the department of sales, where I was looking forward all the sales orders across the couple of states, like South Indian states. And as I mentioned, it's a long journey. So it's been closer to 9 years I was in sales. And that's how the real journey starts, for the entrepreneurship.
As you said, it was a very long journey. When was the first time you realized that you wanted to build something new instead of following a conventional career path?
The realization, did not come just like that. While on the job, there were multiple situations where you really want to fit. I did not fit in the middle of these years, but over a period of time, I've learned a lot. Then at certain point, my growth was not to that expectation what I was, really looking to be useful in the business. But there is a point where your learning is not, happening, which can be useful. So that is the point I realized that now I have to follow my passion.
So why did you specifically choose medical and healthcare devices?
I always wanted to become doctor, but unfortunately due to multiple factors I couldn't become. I always wanted to serve in the healthcare, so I pursued my pharmacy, and that's how journey continued.
So when you started OUTCARE, what was your vision at that time?
My vision was to give the innovation products to our Indian customers and also to create more jobs in the healthcare industry.
Was there ever a point where you thought that things might not work out?
See, in business, when I started, I never thought about it genuinely. Honestly, if you ask me, I never thought about it may not work. The reason why is that when you follow passion drives you such a level. Even in the hard times also, you will find the solution to it. So genuinely, if you are passionate, you will always create a solution to your problem.
So in a competitive industry like healthcare, how difficult it was to build trust and credibility in the beginning?
During initial phase of the startup, I personally visited all of my customers and interacted with every owner of the company. And for me, selling the product was not in my list. I always wanted to develop a relationship before selling the product to the customer. That's how the trust has been built.
Once you develop a relationship with your customer start believing you, because you are giving a solution to their problems. You are not trying to sell the product which is already exists in the market. So that's how my trust building factor has been developed while working with my customers.
Can you share one of your personal experiences?
There are many examples. One of my best experience I would like to share. One of my customers, right now is very prime customer to us, but earlier he was very reluctant to give appointment and also to have a conversation. But one day I decided to go personally. I went to that customer. I spoke with him literally for 30 minutes. The person was not allowing us at least to speak 30 seconds. It's not about the being a director. He must have offered. You might think that, but he did not do such thing. The only thing what I asked him, whatever the product you are buying, can you show me? And he has shown me this product, and I have given him my quality. When he has seen the quality, the one what he is buying from the existing company and mine, then he got shocked. Because what happens, when you go for a sales call, you should not always do the pricing sale. You know, that shouldn't be there. That shouldn't be in your mind when you want to get a customer on your board. You should always talk to your customer on the quality perspective and educate him with the quality. The moment he realizes the quality is better than the pricing, he will always switch to your side. So know your customer, talk about the quality, regulatory, then finally comes to the price. That's how customer relation builds and customer gets convinced to buy at the higher cost.
Okay, so as the CEO of the healthcare company, how do you manage pressure and responsibility that comes with impacting people's life?
That's very challenging part, I would say. Pressure is not a one day pressure or 2 days pressure. It's at the moment you wake up, till that you go to your bed. Every day you have to multiple tasks on your head, and also with the huge responsibility to get over the things. And coming to the management of the pressure, it's all about understanding the work and dividing the work among your colleagues. That is the first thing one has to learn. Until unless you doesn't know how to create the workflow within the colleagues and your subordinates, you will never able to manage your pressure. Pressure is that one has to learn. It is at most when you start the business. And coming to the responsibilities, that is never ending task. It's gonna be always give you the wings to fly back.
Was there ever a point where you felt like things might not work out? If so, then how did you overcome that phase mentally?
See, when you really want to start a business, that is one of the biggest challenge one ever can have, in their mind. Once you overcome that challenge, so the next challenge, of course, there will be always challenge in your mind. At certain phase, whether you want to quit or whether you want to take it forward. In order to overcome that, I have been always focused on my strengths. I never let my weakness to overcome the strength, and it did not let me to deviate.
So how did you overcome that phase mentally? Because there are financial problems arising and always things might not work out as you think. So it was very difficult, of course. So how did you overcome the phase mentally?
The financial problem is always there with any company, whether you take a startup or an established company. The financial is always more of financially. I would believe that if you are mentally strong, on emotional side, I think you can overcome the financially also, because financially it will help you to keep the company stable. But if you are not emotionally strong, then it will never let you to work the way you wanted to do that.
So looking back today, what would you say has been most rewarding moment in your journey with OUTCARE so far?
The most rewarding, I would say that I'm very satisfied with my work. That is the first point you have to always have when you are into the business. I'm doing what I really wanted to do in my life. So I would say things which satisfy me out of my business is one of the most rewarding point what I feel. And because more than satisfying what I am doing, and also I've learned so much in this business, it has taught me how to become a wise. So that is one of the biggest reward along with the satisfaction.
So I have heard few people saying that if you're satisfied with your business, you can't grow your business. Is that so?
No. The moment you are satisfied with your business, that gives you more confidence. It will let you to grow more. So I would say that there are certain people who are satisfied, but satisfaction doesn't mean that to stop yourself. It's a self-validation. You understood, when you really want to do certain things in your life, when you achieve it, yes, the process what you have followed is correct. The same way, apart from the satisfaction, the wiseness which you get through these challenges, that will take you to a different level. And the other part is you should always have the feeling to achieve more. The day it keep going, will always keep going.
Now moving on, the healthcare industry keeps evolving every year. So what changes or innovation do you think will shape the future of the industry?
So as the industry is evolving, we have to also evolve along with the industry. You cannot be on the old books and trying to find the answer in the this thing in the old systems. I always believe you should always evolve along with the time. So innovations has to keep evolving along with your growth of your organization. You have to separate out two things. Regular activities, what you are doing with the companies, it has to grow, and also parallelly, you have to always evolving in sense nothing but developing the R&D, where you keep researching on the new therapy where it could useful to your healthcare industry on day-to-day basis. So evolution doesn't come overnight; it's a years process, but you have to trust the process and you have to trust on your R&D, and eventually you will end up creating the more valuable product to the industry.
So as AI is evolving now rapidly, so how do you think it is impacting the healthcare industry specifically?
I would say AI is really helping the healthcare industry in shaping up the future treatment. I would say so. In earlier times, they used to have the records, all the physically everything. But now the larger, as you see the larger population what we have in our country, so that need to be minimized to the data has to be minimized. So with the help of the AI, they are doing that, and also when it comes to the treatment, also lot of AI related softwares are giving real experience to the doctors, where they can really cut short the time on treating the patients.
What kind of impact do you want OUTCARE leaves on people and healthcare industry when we see years ahead?
I really hope that OUTCARE innovation products to reach every corner of the world, and customers who are really in need of it. Because the innovation products always helps, it creates an impact on the customers by reducing the healing time, which means faster recovery.
Okay, so what kind of innovation you're working on? Can you explain it? And how it is impacting people's life?
Yes, definitely I would like to share. So we are really working on this innovations regards to the compression treatment in the healthcare. So what happens usually in the healthcare industry, when it comes to the compression, there is a conventional method how people used to use the bandages without any accurate pressure. How much it's applied on your body surface, they are not even aware of how much pressure is applicable on it. So in this innovation, what we are giving the solution to the patient is, once they wrap this bandage on the body surface, it's going to give the real-time pressure by the tech with the help of the AI, and the data is transmitted into the mobile, and when the patient himself can see this, the pressure, how much is applicable around the body surface. That is the data what we are giving with the accuracy, and in turn it's going to help the patient to recover faster, unlike the conventional methods.
As I can see, most of your products are related to vascular therapy products. So why did you choose particularly this field instead of going to other?
Good question. Honestly speaking, while I was working, prior to starting this OUTCARE, as I mentioned you that I was working in multiple companies, but my therapeutic area was with the vascular surgery. So while working in those days, so there was a huge gap, communication gap between the working staff and the patients. So as I was closely monitoring this, my products utilization, so simultaneously I always, focused on the developing the business also. Parallelly, I was doing research in those days. So there I could see there is a difference. There is a huge gap of patients with not having the compliance with the products. So that is the biggest challenge doctor used to feel to convince a patient. Then the idea has come up with a new, thought process where we need to mitigate this gap. Then I really started working on that problematic area by, by giving the various solutions to that product. Like as I told you, the drawback is that people doesn't know how to write. And also coming to the other therapeutic area, that is in the thought process. We are still in the verge of completing one innovation, and the next phase we are working with this orthopedic segment, cosmetic segment. We really want to put our innovation thoughts into that.
Okay, so what would you say Gen Zs of today's generation, what do you suggest to go if they are coming into healthcare segment? In which area would you suggest Gen Zs?
To Gen Zs, I would say they should really look into more innovations. So what happens in the healthcare industry, especially, we are very strong in the pharmaceutical industry. But when it comes to the medical device, still our country, India, is huge dependent on the import. So that is the area where this Gen Z, if they really want to do, impactful creation on the healthcare industry, they have to come up with a new tech-oriented or the new emerging technology. They shouldn't always, have the business ideas by looking at others. No, that shouldn't be the ideal thought process if someone really want to come into the business. One should have a thought process about innovating and also creating some impact in the industry, then they have to come up. So in this medical devices industry, I really want Gen Zs need to take up this, import dependence challenge and converting into the made in India, concept. And also they will be directly helping to the Indian economy.
Over the years, what has entrepreneurship taught you personally about leadership, success in your life?
Yes, entrepreneurship, when you get into the, entrepreneurship, it always put you into the harsh reality of your life. Entrepreneurship is not that easy. The moment you push into harshness, there is always a challenges you face from the different type of people among our business community as well as outside the community. So everybody have to tackle very emotionally smart, to grow yourself. So when you are thrown into this such kind of situation, you always become wiser. That is how I've learned the leadership in my business. In my business, when I started, I was a alone person. Over a period of time, I've got many people, onboarded within my different, departments. Everybody has a different mindset. So when you see as a responsible, director and all, you become more wise, and that's how you start learning how to manage the people. Leadership doesn't come overnight. As I told you, it's every emotion need to be understood. Every individual person in your company, if it's a small company like 40-50 employed company, then it's become little bit difficult. But when you have your colleagues around you, you see every individual, and then you try to reciprocate in a better way, and that eventually you end up becoming great.
So, what according to you is a successful life?
Successful life. Good question. According to me, when you grow and you are in a position to help others, irrespective of your expectation from opposite being, is a successful life. What I feel. And secondly, doing what you really want to do in your life and leading the path which can give example to the others, that is always the one can have the successful life. These are the two things which I always been. This is success.
So, as I've asked few people, they leave the company because of the manager. Is it true?
It's really tough question you are asking me. I would say yes. Majority of the times, good people leave because of the managers.
So, how do you hire people?
It's an interesting question. To be honest, what I'm going to say, you won't believe. I always choose the people with the strong instinct who really want to grow for himself. That is my first priority, because certain people will come, they'll tell that I want to do this to the company, I want to do so much to the company. I don't believe those. I always believe if you have a personal growth in any organization, they're gonna sustain with you for a long time. If you are only towards if someone keep pushing themselves for saying that I will do so many things for the organization, for me that is a red flag, where I always again choose very very instinct oriented person along with certain skill set. It's instinct, it doesn't mean that going blindly on instinct. Also with this certain skill set, even though it doesn't have the experience, still I always choose to give the opportunity to the person who really want to work for himself.
So, what according to you is a stepping stone in the business?
The stepping stone, I would say, if really someone want to get into the business, first they have to overcome their fear factor. Fear factors in the business is about losing the money or end up in the losses. The person who has thought and really prepared for the worst situation, that is the first stepping stone to get into the business.
Okay, so based on your experiences, what qualities or mindset do you think are most important for someone who wants to succeed in business today?
Yeah, to success in the business, it's all about your strength, and strength comes from your what you really want to do. So it's all about basic. I would always say that if you are on your basics, and definitely basic in sense, it's not only doing the normal things. You have to be very smart. What you really want to do. So when you have any task, you cannot go and do the hard work. They should always be smart work, understanding your customer, understanding your core strength, which led you to get into the business. Always follow that instinct. So I would say strength, focus, and also smartness, which intelligence I would say, which is smartness is nothing but the intelligence, which one always has to have the very futuristic thought process. The moment when you have a futuristic thought process about your business, that will always take you to the one step ahead from the competitor, and also it will always keep you growing in your business. So there is no, I would say the term success is never, is applicable to the business. It is always applicable to the individual wiseness. The moment you become more, wise, and it's keep evolving, so that is your success.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohit, for joining us for today's podcast and sharing your valuable insights. And for everyone who's watching this podcast, if you want to know more about OUTCARE and want to explore their healthcare products, do check them out. I'll be providing the links in description. Also, if this conversation gave you valuable insights about entrepreneurship, challenges, life skills, etc., then please do follow me and share it with someone who would like this too. Thank you so much for watching.